What's going on? Welcome. I'm suited up tonight. Unrelated to this, I don't get dressed up just for this live stream. Just checking to see if it's still streaming. I was doing an open mic over at Comedy Store tonight, which I put up in the stories if anyone's interested or cares. Just the audio. You can't. I'm not good enough to record the video there. They don't let you do that, but they probably don't like that I tagged him in it actually. But it's not really political. It's just sort of a random set. I think it's kind of fun. I like putting the audio of stuff up sometimes. Reminds me of listening to like they used to, when I was a kid, they used to have these like stand-up comedians would release these like specials on CD. It's kind of stupid, but it's gonna date me a little bit, but it's really fun kind of to just listen to the spoken word sometimes. So it's a little bit fun. It's not a great set, but it's okay. And let me get the chat going here. We'll wait for some people to show up. By the way, I still can't figure out, I'm using Restream and I don't know if I can see people's chats in here. So like it's hard for me to see sometimes when people comment. So throw a comment in there if you show up, and I'll see if I see these. I'm just not super used to using them yet. Let me see if I can get, yeah, I see it's stuck. Maybe if I pop it out. Let's make the chat a little bit bigger. Okay, hopefully that kind of works. We'll see how that goes. Okay. All right, let's get started. Live from a studio apartment, this is Missed Information. Well, today is VeTrans Day, which is near and dear to my heart. It's a holiday I celebrate as a Civil War veteran. Sure you can tell by the growth of my chops. It's actually a comment I get quite a bit. Now, Veterans Day happened today. The Democrats were bombed. Yeah. Apparently they thought it was VeTrans Day. Yeah. It's an honest mistake. You could see how they would do that. So they still celebrated a bit. It was nice. Yesterday, student protesters at UC Berkeley attacked a group of Turning Point USA members. Yeah, it got pretty bad. Apparently, it got so heated that cops had to deploy a special type of pepper spray to stop the Berkeley protesters. Immediately disarms them. One of the only things that works. You could smell the protesters were serious just by looking at them. Got real bad. Democrats are set to vote to reopen the government tomorrow. That should be happening. That'd be mark the end of the second longest government shutdown on record. Yeah. Of course, the longest period of time the government wandered off and nobody noticed was during Biden's first term. 4-year term, rather. Thank God he didn't have a second term. We'd probably all have dementia by now. Okay, top stories. Biggest one, well, one of the biggest ones is one of the ones that I mentioned, which was this. I guess there was a Turning Point event. So I'm sure everyone is aware. You know, we just lost Charlie Kirk. Kind of a big national news story. So I guess what they've been doing is continuing on the Turning Point events as the scheduled tour was supposed to go. So as far as I'm aware, UC Berkeley was supposed to be the last stop on the Turning Point USA tour, and they had some speakers and everything like that. Of course, the UC Berkeley protesters showed up. I don't know how Berkeley became this sort of breeding ground of quasi-terrorism. I don't know. It's sort of weird to me, but anyways, they got really violent at the protest. I was seeing this on X earlier today. I'll show you some tweets. There's let me pull up the graphics here. There's this might be it here. One person, I think this guy is like a reporter from maybe Portland, but he was saying just generally, like right as people were coming in, he says glass was thrown at attendees. They were also spit on as they entered today at Berkeley. This stuff all happened yesterday. And I'm just kind of catching up on it today. Yeah, so disrupting the Turning Point USA event. I guess one of the biggest things was there was some guy was actually attacked. My understanding is that he was professing Christ as King, and he had a freedom shirt on. I got a picture of him here. This is, let me go here. Oh, I don't have the picture of him. Well, in any case, this is him. He's in like the red shirt here. Okay, so the story is the guy in the red, this guy in the hat stole a necklace from him. You can see he's chasing the guy, trying to get his necklace back, I guess. And then the guy just starts punching him in the face. And apparently the guy in the red, who was just trying to chase down his necklace that was stolen from him, was the person that immediately got arrested after the protest. I thought I had a picture of him. Oh, here's maybe a better picture. Yeah, so that's the aftermath. You can see his face. The guy's pretty beat up. He took a bunch of shots there. And then there's... Nazis go home! Nazis go home! Nazis go home! Apparently people at the protest were chanting, "What happened, white boy? Hey, white boy, what the fuck happened?" So it was, you know, at least partially a racially motivated thing. There's Christopher Rufo had a good tweet about it. He's calling for any agitators. He basically says the feds need to identify everyone in the crowd who broke the law, show up at their houses, and drag them out in handcuffs. We cannot accept a world in which the left can veto peaceful speech with a fist or an assassin's bullet. Arrest the agitators now. And he's exactly right. I couldn't agree more with that. This is something that I sort of... It's kind of funny. I feel like we've just come completely full circle. This was something I noticed back in 2017, I believe it was. So before I started this thing, I had this little website called The Penny Press. That was like my original little news website. And this was back when I was liberal, by the way. So in like up until 2017, I want to say, like shortly after Trump's election, I was, I went to college in Santa Barbara, UC Santa Barbara. I did comedy and stuff like that. So it's a very left-wing kind of crowd. And I started to notice, so what happened around 2017, there's a speaker, Charles Murray. He writes books. He's very controversial. He's controversial because he says things like there's differences in IQ between races, right? Probably the most controversial thing you could say to students at Berkeley or anyone like that, right? And around 2017, about a year after Trump got elected, there was this big news story where he was going to tour a college campus. And this was kind of right around when all this stuff was starting, right? And there were these news stories that these students, I think it was called Middlebury, I forget where the school was, but they had organized these protests. And when he got there, they actually chanted so loud and blocked him from entering that he couldn't speak. And I remember writing an article at the time, which I think I have here somewhere. There's like a little snippet of it. Just basically, I don't know if I can make that bigger. I kind of want to. Talking about the protests and what was happening, because at the time, everyone was sort of, the press was claiming that Trump was an authoritarian, he was a totalitarian. This writing is trash, by the way. I don't stand by the writing, but the point I was trying to make was, I'm sitting here a liberal, everyone's saying that Trump's an authoritarian, a totalitarian. I'm looking at my own party and going, wait, they're shutting down free speech, which was a very illiberal thing to say. Like the liberal group that I grew up in would have, that, defending freedom of speech would have been paramount. So I pointed this out in 2017 that it looked like if anyone was tilting towards authoritarianism, it was definitely the left. And that's when I started to notice these little cracks kind of forming on the left. Like something wasn't right, like people were getting weird. And so that's kind of around the same time that I left the left party and sort of started identifying a little bit more on the right, which I think is kind of similar for a lot of people, actually. But this, to me, seeing the arc of that through what happened to Charlie Kirk, it's just a full circle moment. And then to hear with this stuff, there's, again, more violence, more trying to block people from speaking in this sort of center ground, Berkeley, which is, Berkeley used to be a place for freedom of thought, and now it's become this sort of breeding ground for just trying to shut down ideas and really violence and hatred to silence ideas. You have Joe Rogan talking about this stuff. He was mentioning that he sort of felt like these things, and you're sort of hearing murmurs of this a little bit. I know it comes up every couple of years, but people are sort of mentioning how close this is becoming to something like a civil war, which I got the clip from Rogan here. I think we'll play it.
Charlie Kirk gets shot, and people are celebrating. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. You want people to die that you disagree with? Like, where are we right now on the scale of 1 to civil war? Where are we? Are we at 7? Because I thought we were at 5. I thought we were like 4 or 5. But after the Charlie Kirk thing, I'm like, oh, we might be like 7. This might be like step 7 on the way to a bona fide civil war. As soon as you start like regular people celebrating somebody getting murdered in front of their wife and kid on television in front of the whole world, as soon as you celebrate that, like, man, you're in dark territory. You're in dark territory.
Yeah, and Tim Pool, I mentioned this on the show yesterday, but Tim Pool said this, which is the right argues like we're in just a regular argument, right? The left seems to be arguing as if they're in an actual war. Does anyone else get that vibe? Like the way that these protests even happen at Berkeley the other day, it seems like they actually believe that they're fighting against real Nazis. Like they believe that there is a Gestapo-like force called ICE that is deporting people of color. Like that's their actual belief. So it does seem like one side of the country kind of already believes they're in a bit of a cold civil war at the moment, which is kind of a crazy thought. To me, I think the biggest tipping point would be financial. That's what I've always said is kind of, I can't see the U.S. slipping into an actual civil war. There's 2 things that could actually cause it. One of them is financial. If people lose their iPhones, that to me, when people have a government phone that they're using, that's when they'll start actually rioting in the streets and going crazy. It's just still a little bit too comfortable right now. The other thing I don't even want to mention, but what happened to Charlie Kirk was not good. Events like that can certainly trigger unpredictable things to happen. So I don't know how you would rate where we are. I don't feel like we're in a civil war currently, but I do feel like one side kind of thinks that they are. So that's pretty troubling. There's, I guess, the guy who punched the other dude in the face was arrested. I think this is the guy. Apparently his name is Jihad, which is just funny, again. Now, to be fair, my understanding is that Jihad is a fairly common Muslim name. I forget. I looked it up a while ago, but it means maybe pilgrimage or something like that. So it's not like it means like actual violence. Not to ruin the joke, but it is just funny that someone named Jihad got violent against a Christian guy and is being arrested. Funny, not funny. Yeah, so we got that stuff. Next big story. So there was a woman, I think it's Tish Hyman is her name, who went kind of viral the other day for for sounding off at a Gold's Gym against a man who was claiming to be a transgender man entering the women's locker room there. And she was pretty, I think the reason it went viral was she was not backing down. She was very vocal about it. Well, she's back in the news. So apparently she was at an event with, I don't know if it's a senator or someone from Congress. It says, she went off on Senator Scott Wiener. So they were talking, and I guess people were kind of boo-birding her.
Who by California law can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir. Please tell me.
Yeah, so we want, everyone to be safe, and we also know that, we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women, and so, so if you're a trans woman or women.
Senator, you've done great things with the bills you passed with the housing. I've read a lot of your bills, but like you said, there are bills that need to be opened up, and I'm telling you now, millions of women across America are being harassed and sexually assaulted in locker rooms. I'm a lesbian black woman, I'm not transphobic, I'm not homophobic, and I do respect a lot of the things you've done, but I do see a lot of these bills that you've done. And are you going to protect women? Not trans women? Women, trans women are doing it. Women. Listen, we need to protect women's safety. I was assaulted. No, they are not. They are men. I was assaulted by men. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic and I'm black. So if there's another black woman in here who wants to tell me how they feel, please join in. But all of you are not. And I don't know who you are, what you are, but I'm a lesbian, and I'm telling you right now, men are harassing women in the locker room.
Let's let him answer the question.
I'm just telling you, since y'all want to woo.
No, just let's.
Now I'm done, and by the way, I respect what you have done. I just want to let you know that.
She's really excellent at speaking. This is why people are really liking this lady. I mean, she number one, doesn't back down, which is kind of rare right now. Even with that crowd, that's kind of intimidating, having all those people basically boo you and accuse you of being transphobic. One thing that she does really well is just stating up front and repeating it. I'm not transphobic. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm a lesbian. Just kind of putting it all out there. She basically silenced that whole crowd there, and seeing her not back down, it's a great clip. Just when she stands up, because she doesn't go completely like rage angry. She's just still very controlled and explains her point, which she has a good point. I mean, the trans guy they were letting into the locker room was apparently arrested on assault charges, broke his wife's jaw. Like, that's crazy.
I was assaulted. No, they are not. They are men. I was assaulted by men. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic and I'm black.
She plays a couple cards there, but it's still really good. Yeah, it's just an important moment. So need more people like her. She's very brave. It's very impressive to watch her speak. So we'll keep an eye on her and see what she does. ICE is still doing a good job of, trying to counter the media narrative that they're arresting a bunch of innocent abuelitas and removing them from the country. So anytime they arrest just someone with a crazy criminal record, they're being very vocal about it and distributing that on X. So I see in one of these posts almost every single day. They're doing a good job. Today, it was a woman from Moldova, I guess, who was a fugitive illegal alien convicted in her home country of premeditated murder with exceptional cruelty after she tortured and threw her victim out of a 9th-story window. So there's a lot of these sort of cases that they've mentioned over the past couple of days where people have been allowed into the country. They don't have a criminal record in the U.S., but they have like a crazy rap sheet or are wanted in their country of origin, right? So this is an example. Someone else points out on the timeline here, interesting that she's white, right? Because we keep hearing it's about race. But Brandy Cruz here says, but she's white. Democrats are telling us this is all about race, right? I don't know what her ethnicity is. She does look white. But yeah, they're doing a very good job of publicizing whenever they remove somebody really potentially dangerous from the country. And so doing a good job of pushing back against the media narrative. And per DHS, after she was arrested in 2020 by ICE, She used various legal tactics to avoid deportation, including filing multiple appeals before ultimately being released into the U.S. during the Biden administration. So that was during the first government shutdown again. So tough. And what else we got? House just expected to vote tomorrow to reopen the government. Here's Tim Kaine saying that he didn't really understand how dug in the Republicans were, I guess.
Wish that you would have started looking for this off-ramp sooner. You said that Republicans were never going to change in their position.
This was Tim Kaine was Kamala Harris's running mate.
I didn't fully understand how dug in they were, again, because I was so focused on the Virginia elections. I wasn't in this discussion on the healthcare to see how dug in they were. But even as I was not part of these discussions,
I didn't know they were going to not fold.
I was saying to Thune and others on the floor going back, listen, I need, some of you heard me say this in the hall, I need a moratorium on mischief. Others are working on the healthcare thing, I trust them. Others are working on the approach thing, I trust them. I need a moratorium on mischief. Because if we vote to open, and then the immediate step next week is Donald Trump fires a lot more people, it's going to blow up trust to get the full year deal. And so I've been preaching this moratorium on mischief for a month. But
what does that even mean? A moratorium on mischief? I mean, this is the one issue, like it's I don't think any Democrat I've listened to really knows what their strategy was, why they shut down the government exactly, or how they hoped to get out of it, or what they really got out of the deal. Like, it seems like they got a little bit. They basically were trying to not have Republicans let some ACA, some Obamacare subsidies expire. They didn't get that out of the deal to reopen. They basically got a promise to maybe vote on it later, is my understanding. I mean, here was another Democrat saying they caved in eventually because it wasn't working.
Tax credits, it does not guarantee that it's going to happen. So how
isn't working? In other words, it's been 6 weeks. There's been the Republicans made it clear they weren't going to discuss the health care issue.
I mean, it just seems like the Democrats made a big issue out of nothing, shut down the government for nothing, got nothing out of it, and now no one knows anything about why they really did that or anything. So it's just kind of funny. I don't know. So we'll see. It's the one issue where, like, it's national news story, government shutting down. I don't know one single person who's been affected by it. I don't even know that a lot of people are even really aware of it. I'm sure they've heard government shutdown, but I don't think it's directly affected people from what I've heard. Trump rebranded Veterans Day to Victory Day. This was kind of a smaller news story, but it's actually, again, part of Trump's genius. He's just always looking for little positive spins on things, isn't it? It is really, we're lucky to have him in this moment because he truly is America's cheerleader, And I think he was just, that's how his personality is. He's always just thinking very positively and trying to imagine the best outcome and getting you to imagine that as well. And just kind of reframing that, which is something, I mean, to be honest, when you think of Veterans Day, a lot of the time I think of, some of the struggles that veterans are going through currently. Like when that image just flashes through my mind, I think of like homeless veterans and stuff like that sometimes, right? So him reframing that as a victory day, just pure victory. It's just it didn't even get major coverage, but it's just a powerful thing that he just kind of shoots from the hip, changes it, and it kind of reframes that in a very, very, very positive light for veterans. So I thought that was cool. Everybody talking about affordability. Savannah Hernandez, a little hottie, she was talking about this today. So she's a conservative reporter, but she says, I haven't talked about this yet, but I became a first-time homeowner this year. She says, I had to move to a completely different city for 2 years just to save for my down payment because I couldn't do so while still paying rent in the city I was living in. I'm in San Diego. I feel that. It's expensive out here. She says, I was only able to do that because I work remotely. Most Americans, especially those that are stuck in a specific city for work, do not have this luxury. I'm also blessed enough to have multiple streams of income, etc. She says, my home's not extravagant. I'm living outside the city. With the current price of homes, high interest rates, and high grocery prices, I am feeling the pinch of home ownership despite still making an effort to live below my means. So the point she's trying to make is that Trump has been accused of downplaying any type of affordability crisis, maybe more of his positive thinking. I don't know. He's just basically saying it doesn't exist. We'll get through it. We're going to be better than ever. Lots of Republicans, too, though, will come back and say, when Democrats say there's an affordability crisis, Republicans will say, well, no, people just aren't working hard enough. You need to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. So this is a pretty prominent conservative here just coming out and saying, we will continue to lose younger voters if we don't address these issues and continue to speak. And if we continue to speak down to Gen Z like they're idiots, when in reality they've been hit with an economy flooded with a deflated dollar, a housing shortage, an immigration crisis, and corporations are allowed to outsource American jobs to save a quick buck. She says buying a home shouldn't require multiple jobs, relocating, and struggling to make ends meet. Also, the message that the economy is good is not resonating with voters because we absolutely do not feel that. So it's a good post because it's kind of from the heart. It's her own experience, and it's a prominent conservative saying, hey, I really struggled to get my first home. And this is a big topic that's coming up. Mom Donnie used it very effectively for the New York mayoral election, basically campaigning on affordability. You hear affordability, affordability, affordability. So I agree with her. I tend to agree that Republicans do need to focus on affordability and less on talking down to people, and find some real solutions to what seems to be an increasing crisis. I mean, I've noticed the price of groceries get crazy over the last few years. I like meal prep every week, and I remember, because I'll look for what's on sale, at the store, and that's how I base my meal prep plans every week. I'm like, oh, chuck roast, it's $5 this week. I'll make some with chuck roast, and next week maybe ribeyes are on sale, whatever it is, right? I used to buy salmon. Salmon always used to be on sale. It's never on sale now. Chuck roasts, I just saw. Those used to go on sale for like $5 a pound. They were on sale for $10 a pound, which is insane for a chuck roast. It's like one of the less desirable pieces of meat. You buy it because it's cheap. If that's cheap now, we're in a lot of trouble. So I think she's right. I think we do need to focus on not just affordability, but how to curb this inflation. Because, again, tying back into the earlier point about Berkley and everything, one of the biggest levers for actual violence, actual civil war, is going to be how this economy goes. If we do go into something that looks more like a Great Depression or a large depression or some type of hyperinflation, civil war becomes much, much more likely, in my opinion, with the divide that already exists. On that note, I got to go do some comedy again. So I'm going to head out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I should be live streaming at like 9 p.m. And I still can't see the chat, so I don't know what's going on with that. I got to figure out a different solution for restream. I don't think it's picking up like any comments from TikTok or anything. It just looks like, unless there's no one commenting. But last night, a couple people did, and I only saw it afterwards. So I'll try to figure it out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.